So should Dungeons and Dragons get a sixth edition? While I will answer that question towards the end of the video, I just want to go over a few things, first in the meantime. So I want to say that I think they got it 100% correct with 5th edition. Granted, it's when I started playing. I didn't play 4th edition or anything else. Um, Everything that I've gathered from people I've played with, from people I've asked, 5th edition is, if not the best, it's the best in a long time. Usually followed pretty closely by 3.5 or 3. Um, I never really understood why that was, like what was so bad about 4th edition that just left a bad taste in people's mouths when it came to Dungeons and Dragons. So I took it upon myself to, ask around and try to figure out exactly why that is. Now, with asking, I've got a ton of different complaints, ton of different reasons, but one main reoccurring reason that I kept getting was how the hardcore players really felt left out going from 3rd edition or 3.5 to 4th edition. The reason that all the hardcore players seem to have felt left out is because 3 and 3.5 were heavily based on, it's a fantasy realm. Anything you want can happen. You can, sit down at a table, you can just play with your friends. Whereas 4th edition kind of moved over to grid based system. So, for instance, in 3rd edition, there were rules for grid based system, but it was optional. You were able to run sessions without the use of grids or miniatures. And then along comes 4th edition, which is heavily relying on grid based system. So now you've got to go out, you've got to buy your miniatures, you've got to have grids, and it really just took the whole fantasy aspect out of Dungeons and Dragons for a lot of the player base, from what I've gathered. Now, I love miniatures and tiles and special editions and um, uh, dry erase boards and cards and anything Dungeons and Dragons related, perhaps too much depending on who you ask. But I like it because it's optional. I like it because it enhances, not that it's a requirement. If I had to go out and buy all of these miniatures that I have, um, I don't know that it would be as fun or as accessible for everyone, especially people who have already been playing, already invested so much, and they want to take advantage of newer rules and an ever evolving gameplay system. I could understand how you would be thrown off by having to go out and purchase miniatures and pretty much change the way that you're playing Dungeons and Dragons altogether. So I've played many sessions without miniatures, without grids, and I've had a lot of fun. But apparently during 4th edition, it essentially became more of a tabletop role playing game, a Dungeons and Dragons tabletop game, which I'm a huge fan of. I have many of them right behind me. You can't see them here, but I have lots of those, and I love those. But it is a different experience than the role playing game. It's a different experience than traditional Dungeons and Dragons. That's what I like about those board games. It is different. It's something I can play with my fiance or my son without them having to invest in creating a character. They're pre-made characters without them having to role play it strictly combat based, without them having to learn any of the rules or anything. They don't have to read a rule book. They don't have to spend any time, invest any time in order to play that. It's easily accessible, and I like that about it because my son, while he's trying to get into Dungeons and Dragons, my fiance has no interest in traditional Dungeons and Dragons, but the board game is fine. She can sit down with us. She can, kill some bad guys. She can have a lot of fun. She can level up and feel good while doing it, knowing that she helped the team out. So then along comes 5th edition, and it seems as if WotC really cares about the player base, about the die-hard um, players who have really stayed around for Dungeons and Dragons, and they've also made it very accessible for the people looking to dip their toes into the pool of awesomeness for the first time. They had a public play test. They developed the system with, it would appear, with new players in mind. It's very accessible. You have a free rule book accessible to you. You don't have to even go and buy a player's handbook. I mean, there's a lot more in there, and I do recommend it if you like it. But if you want to try it, you have everything that you need online to try it. It's a demo for Dungeons and Dragons, which is it's just a great thing, and it seems as if it was a complete 180 from what fourth edition was. Then you also had a full starter kit that released in July of 2014. And not only that, but they haven't given up on 5th edition at all. To date, you have over 40 different source books and modules and um, just things that are adding everything to it. It's an ever evolving game at this point, and it feels so alive. And anytime you find yourself wanting something new, new monsters or new classes or new feats, there's Xanathar's Guide, or there's something else that's opening up those doors for you, and it's almost like downloadable content in a way. But I really like it. There's an abundance of material. You never feel as though you're bound to the same rules, and um, Dungeons and Dragons always feels different because you play with different dungeon masters and they have their own worlds. You have homebrew, but just the modules, just the amount of modules. Like right now, I have a group we're running through Curse of Strahd. We've played it for 7 months, and it is some of the most fun I've had with Dungeons and Dragons. It's the first time I've really DM'd a big module or like a big thing, but I love it. I love it so much that I bought like the legendary edition that's up here. It's like I already had the Curse of Strahd module, but it's like I'm so heavily invested in running that for my group that I just wanted to buy everything that was related to Curse of Strahd that I could. And that excitement alone is enough to keep people here for 5th edition and to bring over new people. And with everything that's been going on in the world the last few years, and the introduction of shows like Stranger Things and online streams of like Critical Role and Critical Role's videos, which Critical Role's been going for a long time, but still, with everything that's been going on in the world, people have had more time to discover stuff like that, and they see these people around a table having a lot of fun, and they want to try that with their family. They're stuck in a house, or they were stuck in a house, and you know, why not turn your family into an adventuring party and have a lot of fun? Now, the big question is, should Dungeons and Dragons get a 6th edition? And my answer is no. And I say that for a ton of different reasons. 5th edition is at the height of popularity. It's widely accepted by all of the players, both new and old alike. You don't introduce a new version in the height of something like this. You have everyone who's in love with this, and you're still making new modules, and you're still revising things. Like I have the Fizzband Treasury of Dragons, whatever, from Beatles and Grimm's coming in, and I'm like, I'm still buying stuff for 5th edition. I don't want a 6th edition, and I don't think a lot of people do. Not in a moment like this. You don't introduce a new version when you're at the height of the current version and it's not dying off. You want to wait for that decline before you say, okay, we have something new now. We're going to introduce a new version. So hop on this train. Otherwise, there's not going to be many people on that train. Another reason that I say I don't see a 6th edition happening anytime soon is whenever you look at the source books and you look at anything that has been introduced for 5th edition so far, I don't see any 5th edition branding on this material. I look on the books, I see it says Dungeons and Dragons. Everything says Dungeons and Dragons. I don't see much reference to a 5th edition, if any at all. And I think that's what WotC's going for. They don't want to have a 5th edition 5.5 or 6th edition. They want to have Dungeons and Dragons. This is D&D. Not this is D&D 5th edition or 5.5. And that's not to say they'll never have another a newer edition, I encourage change. I encourage evolution, and I think that's a good thing. You always got to keep things changing and keep people coming back. But I think they will do that out of necessity, and right now it's just not necessary. I don't think it is. My players don't think it is. My friends don't think it is. I don't know why they would introduce a newer version when they have so many players being introduced to it, coming on board, playing, investing. They're gonna make a lot of people mad if they up and say, "Oh, sixth edition now. Go buy a new, you know, DM guide. Go buy a new monster manual. Go buy a new player's handbook." That's just not the way to go right now. So I do not think we will see a sixth edition anytime soon. I think that WotC is definitely gonna evolve Dungeons and Dragons, which they should. They just acquired D&D Beyond, so that's pretty cool. I don't think they're gonna make you rebuy all of your digital rule books or source books. I would hope not. That would come with a lot of backlash. But I honestly think that WotC, I think they're going to try and set themselves up to have their own tabletop uh, online simulator or game. That's what I think. That's what I want to see. But yeah, I just wanted to address everyone, asking about 5.5 or 6th edition. I don't think we'll see it anytime soon. I don't think it's necessary. If you think it is necessary, if you want to see it, feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know. Um, I encourage it. I'm interested in hearing everyone's opinion, thoughts, wants, desires, needs. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, hit the like button. If you didn't, hit dislike. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.